Hello and welcome. Before I even get started, I just want to say what an honor and privilege it is to be here for another year. I am was a homeschooling mother of one. I graduated my daughter in January and she started school in January as well. But that is just a small part of my homeschool journey because I actually started homeschooling her because she requested to be homeschooled. Now, with all that being said, I'm also the owner and founder of Teacher Jade's Writing Academy. One of the ways that I was able to homeschool my daughter was by starting my own business. And that is why I'm here to discuss why writing is not dead and how we can still cultivate the practice of writing in a world of AI. So before we get into it, I want you to consider how often you use AI intentionally. So like if I go into ChatGPT and I ask for a meal plan, I'm intentionally using AI. Whereas when I'm on social media, I'm not thinking about generative AI. I'm not thinking about when I type in an address in my GPS to get me to a location. But those are all different forms of AI. So whether you are against it or not, you're absolutely using AI probably daily. But what does that have to do with writing? So, one thing I would say as a writing instructor, a lot of my students are using AI, and it's very noticeable if they're not using it with intention. I'll get into that in a moment. But writing doesn't disappear just because we have access to AI. We're still going to need it. Our students, our children are still going to need it for their assignments, for job applications, professional emails, business communication, grant applications, social media content, text messages with purpose, not text talk with their friends, and then also just personal reflection and journaling. These are things that AI can be utilized for, but it can't really take it over. Now, I come from a family of readers and writers. My mother's published, my daughter's published. I'm self published. I make workbooks. My best friend has published a book. I just know writers. It's a part of my life. And the thing is that AI has changed writing, but it hasn't changed the need for writers. And I already mentioned that a lot of my students use AI, and it's very telling when they do because the way they speak doesn't match what they write, which isn't really a big deal. Like, definitely don't write the same way I speak, depending on what I'm trying to convey. But their word choice, their vocabulary, they can't even repeat back to me what they supposedly wrote. So it's very important as the parent and teacher of your child to be aware of things like using AI to help generate ideas. Using it to organize thoughts. You can also use it to revise drafts. And these are just some of the tips I give my learners. I explain to them that if you're going to use AI, please don't use it to write your entire paper. You can use it to help you brainstorm. And as far as the revisions of drafts go, I give them prompts to use so that it doesn't rewrite their work. It just points out areas that they could change, like work on the sentence structure, but it doesn't actually write the sentence for them. They need to know how to fact check AI responses and then how to add their own voice. Now, even though those are all ways that AI can be used to assist with writing, brainstorming, and revising, what I've noticed is students who cannot write independently won't know when AI is wrong or incomplete. So even if they're using it to assist, they still might not have it right. So one of the things I see as an educator the most with students that use AI is that they can't complete writing tasks. And one way you can even check your own child, because they might be using AI even if you don't think they are, is to have them do it old school, pen and paper in front of you with no devices. And the reason why I say in front of you with no devices, I have one student who not only used AI, but then hand wrote everything down while we're in class, a live Zoom class. And I knew because I could see the reflection in his glasses. So you want to make sure that they're not still using AI and then just handwriting what they're reading off the screen. They also have difficulty coming up with their own ideas, even with a lot of probing questions, because they're becoming dependent on this generator to give them the answers. So it interferes with critical thinking, and as I mentioned, they don't read what the AI generates for them. So it's very important that they still have the skill to write independently. So I already mentioned that I started teaching online when I decided to homeschool my daughter. Well, when she asked me if I would homeschool her. And the first two courses I developed, one was a writing class. It was called Mastering the 5 Paragraph Essay, and it consisted of 4 essays. It was 4 weeks long. And the other class was art class. I don't even teach that class anymore. But I remember thinking, like, why do parents keep on enrolling in this class? Not that I didn't want them to, I absolutely wanted them to, but they thought that it was the most important element of writing, that their child learns how to write this 5 paragraph essay. After that, I created another course called Beyond the 5 Paragraph Essay, simply because once you get to upper high school, junior, senior year, and once you get into college, you're not relying solely on the 5 paragraph essay. You're focusing on a word count or the number of pages. So that was something that I really tried to push to parents when it comes to writing. Yes, they need to know how to write a foundational 5 paragraph essay, but there's more to it. So traditional writing matters, but our children also need to know how to send professional emails, how to create cover letters and resumes, how to complete a scholarship essay, which absolutely is in 5 paragraphs. I believe the Common Core essay right now is 650 words for the limit. Other college admission essays, business proposals, simple thank you notes, recommendation requests, like the list goes on and on beyond writing a 5 paragraph essay. And while most high school graduates can write a standard 5 paragraph essay, they tend to freeze up when it's time to write things that aren't the traditional essay. So overall, AI can absolutely be a useful tool in the writing process and even in those non-traditional writing formats because, again, it helps them brainstorm their ideas, organize their thoughts, improve clarity, and even suggest edits. However, students still need the ability to do this independently, and here are a few reasons why. Even though I have a business, I still have a side hustle. In a side hustle, I grade papers for college professors. And one of the things that they're doing, other than having me take the paper and put it in to turn it in to see the percentage of what's been plagiarized or not, or if AI has been used, it's not fully accurate. So when they give students rubrics, they are putting in print in white, like it'll say something like use the word spaghetti in this essay, or say that I used AI in this essay, and they put it in white font on the rubric in the assignment guidelines. So if a student is just copying and pasting those guidelines and putting it into a generative AI, it doesn't always have to be Chat GPT. Once it spits out that essay, they turn it in, and because they don't read what's being generated, if they say use the word spaghetti, that word randomly is going to be in the essay, and the professor is going to know that they use AI. So teachers and educators we have to be a little bit tricky about figuring out if AI was used, because we can't really 100% say we know that you use AI other than speaking to the student and then asking them to reiterate what they claim that they wrote about. But there will be times when AI isn't going to be utilized and like they won't have access to it. So I just want to go over a couple of those examples. So with job interviews, they are now giving out timed applications. So even the ones that they're doing virtually and online, they're in locked screens so that they can't toggle out and go to another tab to use AI to answer questions, or they're locked the page so that they can't copy and paste the question and put it in a generator. Also, with college admission tasks and workplace communication, it's often required that original writing be submitted. Another thing, students need to understand what good writing looks like so that they can judge whether AI output is accurate, appropriate, or aligned with their voice. So even if they're opting to still use it, they have to make sure it still sounds authentic to who they are and it conveys what they're trying to share. And finally, independence is going to build confidence. So if a student can write a professional email or a resume without assistance, they're better prepared for real world expectations. So just like us not growing up with AI to write our essays, we got to see ourselves improve, and they're not going to see that if they're constantly and consistently using AI to do their work for them. So the goal here is not to avoid it. The goal is to use it as a support and a resource tool while still developing that strong personal writing skill that they need to, make it. Now, if you have a reluctant writer or you have someone that's not that confident in their writing, it's just like any other skill. Consistency. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So strong writers practice regularly. Some of my favorite things are journaling. And even at my desk right now, I have two of my journals, but I have a whole stack of them. But daily journaling can help with writing. It doesn't always have to be a specific prompt. It doesn't always have to be an essay. Reading response notebooks. So whatever they're reading, have them also answer short questions about the text. You can make a family newsletter. That's always fun to do. A bonus activity, writing book reviews. I actually have some of my students, after we get done reading a book in class, I have them go to Goodreads and leave reviews because that teaches them a couple of different skills. Having pen pals. If you are on social media, and I'm guessing you probably are, there are a couple of different parents that coordinate pen pal exchanges throughout the year. So find them, practice writing and handwriting. They can create blogs or websites if they come up with different business ideas and also creative writing. So the goal isn't to just completely ban AI. It's really about teaching our children how to think critically before accepting what it produces. And I am by no means an expert on AI. I've taken a few classes, well, several courses, just because I wanted to be fully informed about AI and how I can implement it and use it, and also recognize when my students were using it, or with my own child who doesn't use it. Like, she's very much opposed to all things AI. But my students know about AI. I actually have one student, the same one who was using AI with, and I can see it in his glasses. He told me that he uses Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, and I think there was a fourth one he uses specifically for like coding. They know about AI and they know how to use it. I almost kind of turned one of our lessons into him teaching me about AI, but that's because that's his interest. He likes using AI, and so we had a whole course on how to use it responsibly, and then he taught me some tricks and stuff that I wasn't aware of when it comes to AI. But in order to teach AI responsibly in your homeschool, ask questions like, did AI answer the question? Is it accurate? Does it sound like me? Can I improve it? And could I explain this without AI? That one is really important. If they're using AI and then you ask them, could you have done this yourself? And the answer is yes. Continue asking them why they decide to use AI instead of their own work. And I promise this is what comes next. If they say, yes, I could have did this myself, and then you ask them why they didn't, because it was faster. So that's a natural question. So if AI can check grammar, if it can build outlines, brainstorm ideas, and even generate a full essay, why not rely on it? And the answer is because writing is not dead. No, the answer is because writing is not just about producing a finished document. It's an actual thinking process. So when we write by hand or even type independently, the brain is doing a lot at once. It is organizing thoughts. It's making decisions about what matters. It's sequencing ideas and then translating abstract thinking into structured language. That process strengthens something called our working memory, which is basically our brain holding and managing information while also solving problems. So, writing, whether it's handwriting or typing, is developing critical thinking skills. It's helping with organization, our communication, our confidence, problem solving, creativity, and self. And of course, I'm gonna give you some homework because I'm a teacher. It's what I do. But here are three tips, or three things that you can do this week to start ensuring that your child is writing independently and not relying on AI. So have your child write one professional email. Start a weekly writing routine, and then let AI become an editor, not the author. And I'm going to give you an assignment that you can use with your children. So I want you to give them a prompt, maybe two or three to choose from. It could be something as simple as a persuasive paragraph about why children should be able to choose their own bedtime, or an informative essay about their favorite hobby. and have them write it. And then give the exact same prompt to AI with no added details like write this at a fourth grade level, structure it with simple sentences, just the prompt, and then have them compare the two. And over here, this is the Venn diagram. In the center, they can write about the similarities, and then on the outside, they write about how it's different. And that way, they can actually see and visualize how different their writing sounds compared to when AI does the work for them. One of my final thoughts is that writing is still one of the most valuable life skills that your child can develop. Whether they become an engineer, entrepreneur, artist, a mechanic, a nurse, a college student, start their own business, writing is going to be necessary. And I'll close with an example. I have one student who I've been working with for almost 4 years. The child despises writing. Every time I turn my camera on and he's on the other side, he's just looking at me with so much disdain. He doesn't understand why his mother keeps signing him up for classes with me. I understand though. But we get along great. He deep down inside, he loves me. He just doesn't love writing. And he told me that he wants to be a police officer, and he always questions, well, why do I need to write? Why do I need to write? And I was so excited when he told me that his career goal was to become a police officer. And I explained to him that there is a lot of writing that comes with that position. If you pull someone over and you give them a ticket, you have to write it up. Simple enough. But let's say there's a crime scene. You have to write detailed reports and you have to turn them in. And if you have to go to court because it's a tragic crime, then your report becomes a part of that court case. And if it's not written well, you could ruin somebody's life. So no matter what field they go into, what career they choose, they are going to write. And of course, if you have any questions, please reach out. Here's all of my social media. Also, even though my child is now a homeschool graduate, I'm still going to be out here in these homeschool streets teaching because tuition. So if you're looking for writing courses for your child ages 8 to 18 and then college and above, please reach out to me or check out my classes at www.teacherjade.com.
If you're still with us, don't go just yet. I want to ask you to take a look at our new book, Homeschooling Black Children on a College Pathway. This comprehensive resource includes narratives from half-dozen homeschooling parents who homeschooled children before, during, and after the COVID-19 global quarantine. The stories included in this book showcase strategies to prepare homeschooled children for STEM majors, college athletic programs, dual enrollment, and more. The book discusses the ways the metaverse can be used in college prep and how including a liberatory framework in your homeschool practice can garner positive outcomes for homeschoolers leaving home for college. This book also includes worksheets on how to have important conversations with your homeschooled children and the entire family as you prepare your homeschoolers for their transition to college or university. This book is presented by Black family homeschool educators and scholars through the literary nonprofit Black Writers for Peace and Social Justice, Incorporated. Black family homeschool educators and scholars is the first U.S.-based research and education group dedicated specifically to the topic of Black family homeschooling, founded in 2020. Black Family Homeschool Educators and Scholars produces the annual BFHES virtual teach-in and presented the book Homeschooling Black Children in the U.S. Theory, Practice, and Popular Culture in 2022. Thank you for buying. Take care.